Yeah, back in the field with the track stars. Ryan Rector, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah was good.
All right, for all things Track Stars, make sure you go to trackstarswithaz.com. Follow us on Instagram, like the Facebook page, and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Okay, a lot going on. So you guys know what's happening. So we'll skip all that. I'm sure. You've been keeping up with. Protests are still going on. Second week into the third week now.
Day 12.
But we're gonna start with Drew Brees. Rick's boy Drew Brees. How you doing, Rick? You good?
I'm excellent, brother. Feeling great. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, man.
Thank y'all for having me.
Could not have you on here.
So I'll start with what he said, and I'll kind of show you the progression of everything that happened today. So bear with me, but we gonna get into it and see if we can figure out what's going on.
Everyone is looking back now at Kaepernick's protests from a few years ago, and obviously they were always about police brutality, and now it's coming back to the fore, and a lot of people expect that we will see players kneeling again if and when the NFL season starts. I'm curious how you think the NFL will and should respond to that, and of course, you're such a leader in the league. What is your responsibility as a leader in times like this for the rest of your teammates and players in the league?
All right, so that's what Drew Brees said that started all this backlash, and so immediately, I'll just say the best wide receiver in the NFL is on his team, and he responded by saying he don't know no better. We don't care if you don't agree, and whoever else knows about that. So right away, people on his own team were reacting really, really strongly to this. And one of the strongest reactions came from somebody else on the team, Malcolm Jenkins. So let's listen to what he said.
Drew Brees, if you don't understand how hurtful, how insensitive your comments are, you are part of the problem. To think that because your grandfathers served in this country and you have a great respect for the flag, that everybody else should have the same ideals and thoughts that you do is ridiculous. And it shows that you don't know history. Because when our grandfathers fought for this country and served, and they came back, they didn't come back to a hero's welcome. They came back and got attacked for wearing their uniforms. They came back to racism, to complete violence. And then here we are in 2020 with the whole country on fire. Everybody witnessing a black man dying being murdered at the hands of the police with his just in cold blood for everybody to see. The whole country's on fire. And the first thing that you do is criticize one's peaceful protest. That was years ago when we were trying to signal a sign for help and signal for our allies and our white brothers and sisters, the people we consider to be friends, to get involved. It was ignored. And here we are now with the world on fire, and you still continue to first criticize how we peacefully protest because it doesn't fit in what you do and your beliefs, without ever acknowledging that the fact that the man was murdered at the hands of police in front of us all, and that it has been continuing for centuries, that the same brothers that you break the huddle down with before every single game, the same guys that you bleed with and go on to battle with every single day, go home to communities that have been decimated. Drew, unfortunately, you're somebody who doesn't understand their privilege. You don't understand the potential that you have to actually be an advocate for the people that you call brothers. You don't understand the history and why people like me, people with my skin color, whose grandfather fought for this country, who served, and I still protested against that, not against the national anthem, but against what was happening in America and what the fabric of this country is for, or stands for. If you don't understand that other people experience something totally different than you. And I'm telling you, I'm dealing with these things. I'm telling you, my communities are dealing with these things. And your response to me is, don't talk about that here. This is not the place. Drew, where is the place, Drew? I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. Because while the world tells you that you're not worthy, that your life doesn't matter, the last place you want to hear from are the guys that you go to war with and that you consider to be allies and to be your friends. Even though we're teammates, I can't let this slide. I can't let this slide.
All right, so that was the reaction from his team. What did you guys think at that point? Because there's more to this story, but at that point, what were you thinking?
Go ahead, Rick.
That's rare that you
not gonna be first.
That's rare that you can see first word in any situation. So I definitely will take it.
What?
It's rare that you concede first word. You know that. So here's the point. At that point, I was like, yo, the Saints are in deep turmoil, right? Malcolm Jenkins just became a part of this conversation, a part of the Saints conversation. He was picked up in the offseason. He was definitely drafted by them, but he had went away to Philadelphia for a while, and the Saints bought him back for this season. He brings in a bunch of leadership. So it's him and Demario Davis. A lot of them have been advocates for Black rights and things of that nature. They've led the charge, right? And so when he came out, I expected Malcolm Jenkins to reply. I did expect him to reply outright and not subtweet. So a lot of the other, teammates, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, even Emmanuel Sanders, who just joined the team, subtweeted, right? I expected a outright response from a guy like Malcolm Jenkins because he's been so vocal. So when he came out and said what he said, I knew at that point that there's a much needed conversation that had to take place. What I didn't know at that point is that the conversation between him and Drew Brees had already taken place.
Yeah.
And so he recorded the video, right? Talked to Drew Brees and then released the video. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, and that's not like, that's, I talked to Sean before. I'm like, yo, that's probably one of the most gangster things. Like basically, I'm outright saying, and I know that in the conversation with Drew Brees, I'm sure he didn't hold back anything, especially if you'll come back and release the video. So I'm sure in his conversation with Drew Brees, he was as candid as he was on video. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, yo, this is going to come to there's going to be a team meeting. There's going to be a huge conversation that takes place between the rest of the Saints and Drew Brees, where they explain to him exactly what was wrong and where his blind spot was in that situation.
Of course, the media grabs a hold of this and it gets worse. Laura Ingraham weighed in, and of course, people pointed out her hypocrisy because of what she said earlier. So let's hear that.
It's always unwise to seek political advice from someone who gets paid $100 million a year to bounce a ball. Oh, and LeBron and Kevin, you're great players, but no one voted for you. Millions elected Trump to be their coach. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
Well, he's allowed to have his view about what kneeling and the flag means to him. I mean, he's a person. He has some worth, I would imagine. I mean, this is beyond football, though. This is totalitarian conduct. This is Stalinist. And by the way, on the streets of New Orleans, we're looking at live pictures. They're shouting, F Drew Brees.
Wow.
That's what this moment has done to the beautiful team spirit of the New Orleans Saints.
He's a great Christian man. He's a great Christian man.
Yeah. So
he's a great Christian man.
That's where the conversation went.
Yes, he is.
That's where the conversation went. Then Drew Brees apologized. All right, so he said, I would like to apologize to my friends, teammates, city of New Orleans, the Black community, NFL community, and anyone I hurt with my comments yesterday. Speaking with some of you, it breaks my heart to know the pain I have caused. And in an attempt to talk about respect, unity, and solidarity centered around the American flag and the national anthem, I made comments that were insensitive and completely miss the mark on the issues we're facing right now as a country. They lacked awareness and any type of compassion or empathy. Instead, these words have become divisive, hurtful, and led people into believing that somehow I am an enemy. This could not be further from the truth. It's not an accurate reflection of my heart or my character. This is where I stand with the Black community in the fight against systemic racial injustice and police brutality, and support the creation of real policy change that will make a difference. I condemn the years of oppression that have taken place throughout our Black communities and still exist today. I acknowledge that we as Americans, including myself, have not done enough to fight equality or to truly understand the struggles and plight of the Black community. I recognize that I am part of the solution, can be a leader for the Black community in this movement. I will never know what it's like to be a Black man or raise Black children in America, but I will work every day to put myself in shoes and fight for what is right. I've always been an ally, never an enemy. I am sick about the way my comments were perceived yesterday, but I take full responsibility and accountability. I recognize I should do less talking, more listening. And when the Black community is talking about, we all need to listen. So that was what happened next. And of course, he followed that up with a video.
I know there's not much that I can say that would make things any better right now, but I just want you to see in my eyes how sorry I am for the comments that I made yesterday. I know that it hurt many people, especially friends, teammates, former teammates, loved ones, people that I care and respect deeply. That was never my intention. I wish I would have laid out what was on my heart in regards to the George Floyd murder, Ahmaud Arbery, the years and years of social injustice, police brutality, and the need for so much reform and change in regards to legislation and so many other things to bring equality to our Black communities. I am sorry, and I will do better, and I will be part of the solution, and I am your ally. And I know no words will do that justice. That's going to have to be.
So did you accept the apology, Rick?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and if you follow my Twitter feed, right? You can follow
MTMV Sports, right? MTMV
well, you can follow at MTMV Sports, or you can follow me at Rick Sincere. I actually put these comments on at Rick Sincere. If you follow me there, you can absolutely see that I of course I accepted his apology. Let me tell you why. So the reason why I accepted Drew Brees' apology, first off, is because most times when racists speak, right, or if they really have a heart for that racism, when they speak and they say stuff, they don't pull back what they say and they don't apologize. So generally, you don't get apologies. Like Laura Ingraham, we saw her earlier. Did you get her apology video? No, you didn't. You know why you didn't? Because she's not apologizing. When Donald Trump says stuff that's out of line, and do you get an apology video from Donald Trump? You do not. You know why? Because he don't apologize. He stands on what he's saying when he says stuff that's crazy, right? When racists do racist stuff, they don't generally apologize. In this particular case, you have a guy like Drew Brees, and this is why people in Louisiana love Drew Brees to start off with, right? He's always had a heart, a Christian. People say he's a great Christian. There's a reason for that, right? Because what he generally does is Christ-like, right? He kind of holds himself in a humble fashion. He was humble when he met my little cousin in McDonald's, right? And he grabbed him and he hugged him and he took pictures with him. I mean, he knows him from nobody, but that's a humble Drew Brees. When I go to training camp and I watch Drew Brees interact and engage with fans, what I see from him is a humble guy who takes the time to stay there and sign everybody's autograph before he leaves the field, even though there's hundreds of people out there waiting to talk to him. So that's the Drew Brees I see. Drew Brees, who's donated $5 million just recently to the state of Louisiana and for COVID relief. That Drew Brees, the same Drew Brees who donates $1 million to Purdue, right? Or then turns around and donates $250,000 to rebuild schools in Gentilly. That's the Drew Brees that I know. That's the Drew Brees that I know about, right? So I knew for a fact that Drew Brees in this situation, what would he do? He knew he said something wrong. He knew he came out of pocket. He knew that was a blind spot. He knew he was wrong, right? And when teammates brought their feelings to him and when he understood, here's the problem though. He didn't do it the first time. That's the issue. And we'll talk about that in a second. But this time when it all went down and he had to face the situation with his teammates, he then came out, realized and saw their heart, and then saw the wrongness in his comments and apologized.
Hey, can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
I really want everybody to really hear what I'm about to say. So like, I really want to say what Rick really wanted to say. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Drew.
So here's my take on this, right? Have we all been in this situation before where we've said something and we wish we could take it back? Absolutely. Does it also mean that it reflects insensitivity in our heart in some way? Absolutely. I think that Drew Brees, man, he definitely felt it, right? But he didn't understand what the protests were from the beginning. That's my opinion. My opinion is the kneeling of the knee taken at the stadium was something that he's caught headlines of, right? But nobody ever explained it to him. That's what my thought is.
Man, that's coming from a Falcons fan. This is big of you, Ryan.
Yeah, no. Seriously. Yeah. I think that Malcolm Jennings. I think I'm not a person for mess, right? And I know that the grievances need to be aired, but I wish that had been done in private, right? I wish that had been done where they came together and had a meeting or a team building exercise or something like that. Or you could see them all huddled around and they're explaining to him why they felt the way they did about his comment. I just feel like that's, your teammate and everything like that. And to go back and put that out on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, it makes problems for a team absolutely worse, right? Just being able to come back in the locker room and have that conversation and that weirdness, that awkwardness, where it's like, the Bible says when you have ought against your brother, you go to him, right? And if he's not listening, then you take an elder with you.
He did go to him though, Fred. Like
he did.
And that's the cool part about it. He went to him privately and publicly.
With the world. Yeah, the publicly part is the part I'm saying is Malcolm Jennings. Does Malcolm Jennings identify as a Christian?
I think he does.
I think he did.
All right.
I'm not sure. It is Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins.
He keeps saying Jennings.
I said Jennings. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why me and you had an issue with our tweet. Our text messages, right? But
whatever.
But no, look, he goes to Drew Brees' comments were public. They were public for everybody to see. So the response to Drew Brees should be both private and public. Because he made his comments publicly.
Well, you said that he had a conversation with Drew Brees first, and then he put out the video. It should have been the video, and then it should have been the video, and then called Drew Brees.
That's not what you mean.
All right, can I say something real quick? I think Drew Brees knew. He knows what he's doing because they say he did the blackout. Did y'all do we did the blackout on our this week? Yeah. So he did the blackout. So he knows. Maybe he doesn't know the correlation between the flag and George Floyd. Maybe he doesn't know the difference between that. But at the same time, it was like somebody in the comments saying that was his opinion. Yes, that was his opinion, but at the wrong time.
It is definitely at the wrong time.
Definitely
at the wrong time.
So now you got people looking at him like you got your own fans saying blank Drew Brees in New Orleans. That's crazy.
Which means it actually hurt. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That actually hurt.
I'm just waiting to see him burn his jersey because I thought that was going to be the next step.
But there's a reason why. Never fear why it hurts.
Never fear. There's always somebody to come and make it worse. Here we go. Donald Trump. I'm a big fan of Drew Brees. I think he's truly one of the greatest quarterbacks, but he should not have taken back his original stance on honoring our magnificent American flag. Oh, glory is to be revered, cherished, and flown high. We should be standing up straight and tall, ideally with a salute or a hand on heart. There are other things you can protest, but not our great American flag. No kneeling.
Get your boy, Jeremiah.
Dude, the flag. I just don't get it, man. I don't get your boy,
Jeremiah.
I don't get it. This obsession with the flag has got to stop.
Hey, don't worry. Drew Brees responded to Trump.
Nah, they're not together no more.
Drew Brees posted on Instagram, "Dear Donald Trump," or President Trump. Through my ongoing conversations with friends, teammates, and leaders in the Black community, I realize this is not an issue about the American flag. It has never been. We can no longer use the flag to turn people away or distract them from the real issues that face our Black communities. We did this back in 2017, and regretfully, I brought it back with my comments this week. We must stop talking about the flag and shift our attention to the real issues of systemic racial injustice, economic oppression, police brutality, and judicial and prison reform. We are at a critical juncture in our nation's history. If not now, then when? We as a white community need to listen and learn from the pain and suffering of our black communities. We must acknowledge the problems, identify the solutions, and then put this into action. The black community cannot do it alone. This will require all of us.
He's got a fantastic PR person writing for him.
Hopefully it's the Holy Spirit. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for too.
It's J Spirit, the PR person for the Saints.
Actually, no, man. Honestly, I think. Remember we talked about why people are saying F Drew Brees and why there's so many. I'm sorry, blank Drew Brees. I don't know what's better here. But in this, yes, forgive Drew Brees. But for the most part, right, it wasn't what he said in his initial comments. It wasn't what he said. It's what he omitted from what the initial statements were. Right. He at that point he could have said a bunch. He could have talked about George Floyd. He could have talked about Breonna Taylor. He could have talked about Ahmaud Arbery. He could have talked about the injustice at that point. He could have brought that up, but instead of bringing that up when the question was posed to him, he brought up the flag. And so everybody say, yo, you missed the whole point, right? I thought Ernie Johnson said it best, right? From NBA on TNT. He comes out and says that, hey, we can no longer use the flag as a blindfold, right? And I think that's basically what he's doing, or what he did in that moment, or what most people are doing. If you look at the response, to Drew Brees' comments to Donald Trump, right, on Twitter, that's coming from Saints fans. But all Saints fans aren't like me, right? A lot of Saints fans are on the other side of this argument. And man, they come at Drew Brees quite hard. They said, as some guy says, hey, you're completely emasculated at this point. They think he kowtowed to, I'm dead serious, man. They completely came out against him. And this is one guy I'm reading. There's tons and tons and tons of responses like this from people who are claiming to be Saints fans. So it is a bold thing for Drew Brees to come out and speak the way he's speaking to Donald Trump, because he knows that at that point he isolates almost, I want to say,
he's cut off from everybody now.
He's cut off at least 40% in his response of the people who support him on a weekly basis.
So things are still moving. The players got together. Michael Thomas, I assume, led this, but they got together.
Oh, good. That's what I wanted to see.
And they put this video out.
It's been 10 days since George Floyd was brutally murdered.
How many times do we need to ask you to listen to your players?
What will it take
for one of us to be murdered by police brutality?
What if I was George Floyd?
If I was George Floyd?
What if I was George Floyd?
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 I am George Floyd.
I am Breonna Taylor.
I am Ahmaud Arbery.
I am Eric Garner.
I am McCormick Dunn.
I am Tamir Rice.
I am Trayvon Martin.
I am Walter Scott.
I am Michael Brown Jr.
I am Samuel Du Bois.
I am Frank Smart.
I'm Philip White.
I am Jordan Baker.
We will not be silenced.
We assert our right
to peacefully protest.
It shouldn't take this long to admit.
So, on behalf of the National Football League,
this is what we, the players,
would like to hear you state.
We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of black people.
We, the National Football League,
admit wrong and silencing our players from peacefully protesting.
We, the National Football League, believe Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Wow. So that came next, and I actually didn't expect this, but then Roger Goodell responded.
It has been a difficult time for our country, in particular, Black people in our country. First, my condolences to the families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and all the families who have endured police brutality. We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the National Football League, believe Black Lives Matter. I personally protest with you and want to be part of the much needed change in this country. Without Black players, there would be no National Football League. And the protests around the country are emblematic of the centuries of silence, inequality, and oppression of Black players, coaches, fans, and staff. We are listening. I am listening. And I will be reaching out to players who have raised their voices and others on how we can improve and go forward for a better and more united NFL family.
And he ain't even looking at the camera.
So that was
the Rock Nation thugs were like, this is what you're gonna say.
That's where we stand. That's where we stand today. So what do you guys think about everything that's been happening with this whole?
That's an apology I don't accept. I mean,
the man who's been killing fantasy football 15 years in a row.
Man, look, what I'm saying is, and I love the script that he read. That was awesome. Because I mean, look, honestly, you need to go back, right? Like, okay, there's one guy who would help me to accept that apology, right? There's one situation that would help me to see the situation that there actually is true contrition. If you go back Kaepernick. And you mention, yes, in that statement, why is Colin Kaepernick? But why is he omitted from that statement? I mean, I know there's legal reasons why he's omitted from that statement. At the same time, you need to go back and make that situation right. You showed me what you had. Somebody put this in the headline, and I got you, Jeremiah. Somebody put this in the headline that the NFL had a 4-year head start. And they still dropped the ball here. They still failed the situation. They had a 4-year head start, right? And they still let the situation drop. And you want to know why? Because honestly, at the heart of the matter, that's not a true concern. If there really is a true concern, then you go back and you make the situation right. And once you make that situation right with Colin Kaepernick, then by all means, I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to listen. I'm willing to listen a little bit more. But this statement feels more PR to me than anything else, because I don't see the true heart there that follows it. I
just think that it's not a real realization for I think for people to understand is that the reason why after they blackballed him is like, I don't think they will bring him back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think they're gonna bring him back. And then I think another thing too, to me, I think Kaepernick's his role in life now is way bigger than football, man. I think it's almost a leadership. I believe that he should be the leader that Black people are looking for, honestly. And I just being real.
Wait, who?
Colin Kaepernick.
Is there an obligation, right, for all these companies and all these people? Are they speaking out of obligation, or are they speaking from the heart?
They speaking out of fear,
because
man.
That's the part that bothers me the most, is like when you see an obligation to something, you feel like you can't back out of it. We can't get away from this. We gotta do something. We gotta say something. But if there is actually like the heart being reflected here, then the sincerity is taken, for what it is. But I just don't feel that with every company that's now come out with a statement, because like Rick just said, they had years and years of this happening, right? Years and years of this. This isn't the first story of this, right? And so, I mean, even by the time we were up to Eric Garner, it's like we have had so much of this, right? And so many years have passed from that situation, from Jordan Davis situation, from all these situations of Black people being killed unarmed, while innocent, or while, whatever. And you had time for that, right? Why is it that when the world says something bad, that this is bad, then everybody else in the country got to line up and say it's bad too? Every other major outlet, every other major brand or organization has to say it's bad too, when the world takes notice.
Well, I think the difference is, and the sad part is, it feels like I feel like people started seeing this video of him or George Floyd not resisting, not fighting back the cops, but just suffering for his life. And that was his moment. It's almost like the moment back in the day when the world saw the cops beating everybody up that was protesting in Selma. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Once white America saw that, they was like, oh, snap. This is for real. Like, these people are not lying. So I think that's what's one of those things that when people start to see it, they started saying, okay, everybody getting on board. And then another thing too is when you start to see people protest, and like normally people protest and it kind of dies down, but this is growing stronger and getting stronger and continuously to protest. It's almost like everybody getting on the bandwagon. It's like, yo, we down for black causes now. So you got corporations, you got all types of corporations in America saying almost, I'm sorry to black America, and giving out funding to black communities, which is a great thing. Thing. But the problem, like Rick just said, it's wild late. We should have got all this back in 2014, 2013, 2016. I mean, even cases like Trayvon Martin, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. So I just think right now, it's a good situation that that people are becoming aware, and not just black people. I mean, everybody, young, old people saying, hey, yo, this was wrong, and George Floyd deserved justice. Well, so I just think, man, it's crazy.
Let's see how it plays out. I don't know why people are saying what they're saying, but let's hope that some actual change is happening in some hearts. That's what really matters. I don't want pressure to be the reason why people say what they say. I want it to be because a heart change happened. So we'll talk more, because we got a lot more to talk about, because we're going to talk about Rush Limbaugh later. So stay tuned. All right.
Jeremiah, you're up.
You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Shantan, and DJ Jeremiah.